Hi guys, welcome back. So for today's video I'm going to be doing how to wean your baby. This is part 2. I have done part 1, so be sure to check that out and I hope you enjoy it. This is a more in-depth video. Now when you start to wean your baby, you have so many questions running through your mind. Now there is a lot of information to take in. I mean, you can read so many books and the amount of information that you can get online, it is a lot. But I mean, not to worry and panic, because I will try and cover most of it, if not all, in this video. If you do want to grab a pen and take some notes, that would be great and really helpful for yourself. Now when you start to wean your baby, there are so many questions that you'll be asking yourself. The first question is your baby ready? Because the truth is, if your baby's not ready, then there's no point in doing it. The first sign is your baby able to sit up and hold their head? Now what this means is, are they able to sit up in a high chair when you feed them, and do they have good head support? And when you're holding them, are they able to support the weight of their head themselves? Second thing to look for is, are they putting things in their mouth? Babies explore with their mouths, so if they're putting things in their mouth, that means they're ready. The third sign would be, do they seem interested in the food? So when you're eating, they're really watching you, or they're following the food going into your mouth and they're trying to grab your food, and just things like that, where they're really into the food. And the fourth sign is, are they able to eat the food? So what that basically means is, when you feed them, are they able to swallow it, or are they just holding it in their mouths? If they're just holding it in their mouths, then they're probably not ready for it. These are the main signs that you want to look for, which will tell you that your baby's ready. But also as a mum, I feel that you would know that your baby's ready. The Department of Health recommends not to feed your baby until they're 6 months. Personally, I started my baby at 5 months and she's doing fine. Some people do start at 4 months. The first stage of weaning is between 4 to 6 months. Your mum, you know best, you know your baby. I mean, I personally would think, don't wait. You don't want to do it too early, but then you don't want to wait too long as well. The signs are a good indication to tell you when your baby is ready, especially if you're a first-time mum. Alina is now 24 weeks and I started her very first foods at 20 weeks. I started her with baby porridge and baby rice. The second question that you would ask yourself is, what are the best first foods to try? Now the most common ones are carrots, potatoes, sweet potato, pears, apple. I mean, to be honest with you, I would say most fruits and vegetables are fine. You just don't want to try anything that's too acidy, like pineapple or oranges maybe. It's just because their body's getting used to the foods and you don't want to upset their stomach. Now you can try flavours individually or combine them, it's entirely up to you. You can do homemade food, so where you prepare the food at home yourself, which I will be doing and I'll show you in this video how to do, or you can buy the food from supermarkets. I mean, any supermarkets like Asda, Sainsbury's, Boots, pretty much everywhere actually sells baby food. The most common shop bought foods to start with are baby porridge and baby rice, and then you can get like carrots and cauliflower cheese, etc. It is recommended to try one type of food for a whole week. Now that's your decision, it's just a recommendation. I personally give Alina one food 3 days and then I swap it over, and then 3 days again I'll swap it over. I just feel that having one type of food for a whole week is very boring, and I personally wouldn't like that myself. As a mum, you do what you feel is best, because the truth is, a mother knows best and mother's instincts are always right. The third question is, how much should I be giving my baby? How often and when? You want to pick a time where your baby is not starving, so like they're crying for their milk, because truth be told, when you go and give them the food, they won't take it, they'll just cry, especially because they're used to having it through a bottle, and compared to you feeding your baby, the milk in a bottle comes out much faster. I personally always give Alina's first feed of the day milk, and then around lunchtime I would give her food. That's just my personal opinion, but you do it how you feel is best. Up to the first year of your baby's life, milk is very important and they will still be getting all of the nutrients that they would need from their milk. Food is really just for them to explore the different tastes and textures, so you do want to make sure that they're still getting the milk. You don't want to overfeed your baby, so to start with you'd want to give 1 to 2 tablespoons and then just gradually increase it each week. If you feel that your baby is still hungry after 1 to 2 tablespoons, then offer milk after that. Don't offer more food. For the first week, you want to do 1 meal a day, and then the second week you want to increase it to 2 meals a day, and on the third week you might want to see how things are going, so you might want to stick to 2 meals, or you might want to increase it to 3 meals a day. That's your decision, how you feel. On the 4th week, you would want to increase it to 3 meals a day and then just continue to do so. It's totally your decision. You don't have to start with breakfast. You can start with lunch or dessert. I did personally start with breakfast, even though it was at lunchtime. My personal opinion is to offer your baby the savoury stuff first and then to offer the sweet stuff. That's because I didn't want Alina to get used to all sweet taste and then not want the savoury stuff, because sometimes having sweet and then maybe having savoury stuff like broccoli, for example, can taste quite bland. 4th question you want to ask yourself is, do you want to give the food warm or at room temperature? Now, I personally give the vegetables warm because I wouldn't like it if somebody gave me cold vegetables, but the fruit I always serve at room temperature because I feel like nobody really eats warm fruit, do they? Now, if you're warming the foods, it's fine to warm it in the microwave as long as before you give it, you mix it really well, because there can be heat spots which can burn your baby's mouth. The 5th question you'd ask yourself is, do you want to do baby-led weaning or do you want to feed the baby yourselves? Baby-led weaning is just basically when the baby feeds themselves. A baby-led weaning only works is if the baby is able to pick up the food and feed them themselves. If you put the food on the tray or on the plate and they're just staring at it, not knowing what to do with it, then baby-led weaning won't work. Personally, I, with pureed foods, don't do baby-led weaning. It's just because I feel like if somebody gave me pureed food, I don't think I'd be able to eat it, so I don't expect my baby to. However, as a parent, it is your decision. As Alina gets older and I start to give her finger foods and more whole foods, I will be doing baby-led weaning and I'll do a more in-depth video on that. Question 6. What equipment do you need to make homemade baby food? Now, to make the food, all you really need is a steamer. If you don't have a steamer, then a pot that has a lid to it, a hand blender or just a normal food blender. You will also need ice cube trays or maybe freezer pots to sort of freeze the food. And the last thing you would need, I mean it is optional, is Ziploc bags. It's just because they save much more space than using ice cube trays or pots to freeze the food in. With the Ziploc bags, you don't want to put the food in there straight away and then freeze it. You do want to freeze them in ice cubes or individual pots, and then once they're frozen, pop them out and put them in the Ziploc bags. Equipment needed to feed your baby. So you will need a high chair or some form of chair to sit your baby in. You'll need bibs and a weaning bowl and weaning spoons. Now, the weaning spoons, you want to make sure that you are using the age that is recommended on the labels. So for example, if you see spoons that are 6 months plus and your baby is 4 or 5 months, don't buy them. It's just because they might be harder on their gums, so you want to go for spoons that are 4 to 6 months. Never use steel spoons because it can cut the gums and be really harsh on the mouth itself. Question 7. Do you want to do batch cooking? You can cook the food daily, I mean it's your decision. However, I personally feel batch cooking is best, especially if you've got other children. Cooking the food daily would be very difficult, but again, it's your decision as the parent. For batch cooking, all you really need to do is take out a time, whatever time suits you, whether it's morning, afternoon, evening, night time. I mean, that is your decision. Take out a time and do all the cooking and then just freeze it. Then in the morning or the night before, all you want to do is take out whatever food you want to give to your baby for that day. You can store the food in the freezer for up to 3 months. Now, I personally use ice cube with trays. I just feel like when you put the food in and then you can just sort of stack them on top of each other, which is a great space saver. Be sure to label your food so you know what it is and when you made it. Question 8 is, do I need to offer my baby a drink? And the answer is yes. Babies, just like us, will get thirsty when you feed them. And now the best thing is plain water. Don't add sugar, don't add honey, just plain water is best to give to your baby. In the beginning, you want to make sure that you stick to basic foods. However, that doesn't mean you can't combine foods. So you might want to combine carrots and broccoli, or cauliflower and sweet potato, just so you're getting different flavours and textures in there. And also some can be quite overpowering, like broccoli might be a bit overpowering, so the sweetness of the carrots would sort of reduce that. If you're not comfortable with home cooking, that's absolutely fine. There is nothing wrong with it. So many mothers out there do give shop bought food and there's nothing wrong with it. I personally give both. I have home cooked food and then I have shop bought food, and that's because at times when I need to pop out, all I need to do is grab and go. If you are buying shop bought foods, the only thing I would say is make sure you are reading labels. For example, you might pick up something and it will say parsnips and apple, and what it might have is 70% apple and 30% parsnips. So just make sure you're always reading labels, because it can be misleading. And make sure you're checking sugar contents. Just because it's baby food doesn't mean that it would have no sugar or low sugar. For example, I know that Farley's rusks have a lot of sugar in them. So again, just check labels and read the ingredients. this, the main thing I want you to remember is make sure that it's a positive experience for your baby, and make sure it's a fun bonding time for you and your baby. I want to thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you found this video very useful and helpful. I will be doing stage 2 of weaning your baby, so I hope you tune in for that. Please don't forget to hit that subscribe button, leave a comment and give it a thumbs up. If there is anything that I haven't covered, please feel free to ask a question in the comments below and I will get back to you. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!